Howdy, this is Dylan Drum. I'm in Dr. UCHE's Strategic Management class, Mera 466, Section 901, Spring 2019. I'll be going over a project I did this semester based on the strategic analysis of Sysco Corporation. We start this presentation by going over the company history, the external analysis, the internal analysis, and finally a conclusion. The Sysco Corporation is an American global enterprise which has paved its way to the world's leading seller, marketer, and distributor of food and service supplies. Sysco has grown exponentially since its humble beginning in 1969, flourishing into the world's leader in food service distribution. Sysco is an acronym for Systems and Services Company, an American company with headquarters in Houston, Texas. The driving force behind the corporation's startup was Mr. John Bowe, who initially founded his own food distribution center and eventually convinced 8 other small food distributors in different regions to join forces with the goal of developing a nationwide food distribution corporation. The company went public in 1970 and grew rapidly in its early years through various strategic acquisitions, which helped the organization expand greatly nationwide. Merely 9 years after becoming public, the company surpassed $1 billion in sales and by 1981 was rated the biggest food service distribution company in the nation. Sysco continued its strategic acquisitions and expansions throughout the 1990s, which led to the creation of a subsidiary known as the Sigma Network to consolidate the distribution systems. By the time Mr. Bowe retired in late 1997, the company had accumulated a sales value of over $12 billion. The organization slowed its rate of expansions during the 90s, but remained a dominating force in the food service industry with a considerable market share. Continuing into the background of Sysco, Sysco has continued along its prosperous path with several proposed mergers and acquisitions just in the past year alone. This includes the strategic acquisitions of J&M Wholesales, Waugh Foods, and Kent Frozen Foods. The strategy of the corporation lies in its willingness to advance in any way possible. Sysco's success as the world's leading global distributor in food service is largely due to its closeness with its customers worldwide, continually prioritizing consumer satisfaction and preferences. The organization is built on a strong set of values, including integrity, excellence, teamwork, inclusiveness, and responsibility. The organization has developed through the combined intellectual power of different CEOs, financial analysts, and operations coordinators over time. This has helped Sysco achieve its top-notch market position, dominating the food distribution industry with a significant lead over competitors worldwide. Not only does the company thrive on delivering goods globally, it also proudly provides jobs worldwide, including drivers, warehouse employees, and sales representatives. With modest beginnings in Waco, Texas, this corporation has soared through a strategic process of intelligent investments, determined diversification, and global operational facilities. Since Sysco was founded 50 years ago, it has flourished into a billion-dollar multinational enterprise, servicing customers in 90 countries worldwide. At this rate, the company will and should continue to expand globally, thus maximizing its potential market success and profitability. The purpose of this study is to perform a thorough strategic analysis of Sysco Corporation in order to achieve a detailed understanding of both its external and internal environment. This knowledge is pertinent in understanding the industry trends and how to effectively face fluctuations. First, an external analysis will be completed to evaluate opportunities and threats outside the immediate organization, and a close examination of the external environment will provide insight on maintaining competitive advantages. An internal analysis will follow, involving the company's strengths, weaknesses, capabilities, and competencies. This information will give an accurate reflection of the current business strategy implemented within the company. Combined knowledge of both the external and internal environments allows a comprehensive assessment of any and all influences which must be mastered to achieve success. Next, we move into the external analysis, which covers the general environment analysis, the industry analysis, Porter's 5 forces analysis, the driving forces analysis, a competition analysis, as well as the key success factors. The general environmental analysis is a detailed analysis that must cover 7 key components, including a demographic segment, an economic segment, a political and legal segment, a socio-cultural segment, a technological segment, as well as a global segment. These factors each play a significant role in the development and prosperity of firms, and this specific analysis will determine the most influential segments for evaluation of the food distribution industry. It is important to understand each of these segments individually as well as interconnectedly since they are so highly related and impactful to the industry. We'll start with the demographic segment, as the food distribution industry provides networks and connections to people all around the globe. However, the companies in this industry typically deal with selling to businesses rather than directly to consumers, which alters the demographic segment analysis a little bit. Primarily, customers in this market include large enterprises such as restaurants, hotels, schools, and hospitals, which refocuses the scope of this demographic investigation. Nevertheless, maintaining an expansive objectives means companies must aim to appeal to consumers in many different regions, which is satisfied by the widespread operations in different geographical locations. Preserving market relevance requires continuous intense research in every operational region. This diversification strategy allows organizations to familiarize and satisfy consumers with different needs and preferences in various locations worldwide. Explored in greater detail, the demographic segment for this industry is largely comprised of younger generations, with millennials representing the foremost demographic group in terms of spending. This entails that the demands of this specific demographic group are important to the monetary success of this industry. As represented in the figure, you can see the demographic segment is a high-impact segment of the general environment. This is largely due to its close connection to the consumer demands, taste, and preferences. Corporations must pay acute attention to shifts and trends in order to satisfy the complex demographics within the industry. A full understanding of these components allows for the proper planning of future trade and investments. In sum, the demographic segment is highly impactful on the international success of this corporation. The next segment, being the economic segment, is vital because awareness of the market's condition is crucial in terms of strategic planning and projections. This includes factors such as inflation rates, interest rates, foreign exchange rates, and growth rates. As markets continuously fluctuate, it is crucial for companies in this industry to have a complete understanding of the economic conditions in the United States, as well as the numerous other countries in which it has operations in. Certain aspects will likely vary from country to country, including the exchange rates, infrastructure quality, skill and education levels, labor cost, and productivity, as well as unemployment rates. For this reason, organizations must take great stride in remaining aware of these conditions in order to plan accordingly to maximize efficiency and quality. Perhaps one of the most notable strategies utilized in this industry by Sysco Corporation is its feat in economies of scale to maintain a strong competitive edge over rivals in the market. This has been accomplished by expanding its distribution network internationally to lower the cost of sales as a portion of earnings. This tactic has lowered Sysco's cost of sales over the years, with projections to continue in this declining pattern. It is evidently beneficial for organizations to implement expansive strategies as operations in various locations provide new business opportunities with an extent of security in the event of an economic collapse. Knowledge of various economies allow companies like Sysco to operate ideally in each of its operating countries, which further solidifies its market share. The next segment is the political and legal segment. Due to the vast operations of the food service distributions industry in numerous countries worldwide, it is imperative for corporations to familiarize with political and legal factors which may limit the actions of the company in certain areas. Many company policies in this market require complete compliance with all of the applicable laws in each country in which it operates, such as the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. International operations can be found outside of the U.S. in Canada, the Bahamas, Ireland, Costa Rica, Mexico, France, the UK, Sweden, Spain, and more. Multinational firms must navigate the international legal barriers in regard to business and environmental laws. Many companies remain aware of environmental concerns and consistently innovate product lines to reflect this. There are high barriers to entry by new rivals in this industry, which is an advantage for dominant brands since they are already established entities. Barriers to entry, food code regulations, and marketing guidelines are just a few of the legal obstacles which regulate the food distribution industry. When operating internationally, a firm must learn to navigate potential conflicts that may arise between countries. These issues may include trade wars, price setting, trade deficits, sanctions, tariffs, or even embargoes. An example of limitations set forth by such legal barriers is Sysco's failed acquisition of one of its top competitors, U.S. Foods. Due to the concerns of monopolization and violation of the Clayton Antitrust Act, the Federal Trade Commission challenged the commencement of this merger. In a court ruling, it was determined that Sysco would control 75% of the U.S. food service industry with this acquisition, thus putting an end to the merger. The political and legal segment has proven to be highly impactful on the prosperity of companies and emphasizes the importance of a macro environment awareness to flourish as a multinational firm. The next segment is the socio-cultural segment. When companies pursue international operations, it is crucial to maintain a thorough understanding of the social and cultural aspects in each active region. This segment is highly impactful and signifies the cultural and demographics of a society. It is essential to understand the beliefs and values of different cultures so companies can communicate effectively and appeal to shared standards of an area. Maintaining a globalization objective is imperative in this segment because operating on a global scale takes universal awareness of each culture individually, from how they organize to how they communicate to even workplace protocol. Top companies in this market thrive by prioritizing diversification for this reason, which satisfies a wide range of consumers with different tastes and preferences. The most successful corporations perform extensive research and pay acute attention to detail in consumer demands. This priority appeals to consumers and provides them with products which are relevant to their personal preferences regionally. An example of this industry's socio-cultural importance is the prominence of the diverse ethnic goods available in the market. It has been discovered that consumers are drawn to products which are culturally relevant to themselves, which is the reason it is advantageous to develop a product line with many different cultural identities. This will ensure that customers feel significant and understood on a socio-cultural basis, thus attracting more zealous customers. Therefore, the socio-cultural segment of this analysis is highly impactful because businesses must have a thorough understanding of the global social and cultural standards, which vary regionally and change over time. The next segment is the technological segment. The food distribution industry has developed concurrently with technology, providing innovative technological applications to meet growing demands over the years. A notable example of technological advancements is in the transportation innovations, which have increased efficiency in the industry over time. Companies must aim to keep up with the growing demands in the market to maintain a lead against rival firms, making this a high-impact segment. In 2016, the food distribution industry's dominant leader, Sysco, publicized its three-year plan with financial and technological objectives. The technological goal was directed at making improvements in the customer experience. This plan included steps in the direction of modernization while expanding its existing programs to add new capabilities. Such advancements in Sysco's technology were projected to increase functionality and productivity, achieving business objectives more rapidly, less costly, and less risky. This incentive is just one example of many different movements toward a more technologically advanced industry, a fast-paced trend in which will wreak havoc on any firm that does not participate. Additionally, companies in this industry tend to prioritize the integration of networking systems to provide shared services and customer tools to enhance the experience. This decision involves improving existing technological systems to be more user-friendly, including cloud computing, and mobile applications. It is evident that top organizations remain aware of the growing consumer demands as seen in these corporations' constant renewal and modernization of technology. This innovative strategy is beneficial to both the consumer and the industry. The next segment, being the global segment, happens to be the last component of the general environmental analysis, which is still highly impactful and relevant to business strides toward globalization. Sysco is by far the leader in global food service distribution and interacts with customers all around the world. In fiscal 2018, Sysco reported that the international food service operations outcomes made up about 19.6% of the company's overall sales. Additionally, companies in this industry make purchases from suppliers both locally and internationally, which helps support the respective regional economies. The corporations in this industry must abide by high ethical standards, which are achieved by following a stringent global code of conduct. This allows companies to achieve their corporate vision, such as Sysco's vision of being its customers' most trusted and valued business partner. Although globalization has many advantages, it also comes with a certain level of risk. In 2018, it was reported that one of the top industry economic risks is unfavorable macroeconomic conditions in North America and Europe, as well as unfavorable conditions in particular local markets, which could potentially impact financial outcomes and success. For this reason, food service distribution companies must consistently remain aware of economies and market trends in each operative region worldwide. Dominant corporations have built strategic partnerships worldwide to connect organizationally and adjust with the fluctuating industry conditions. The global segment of the general environmental analysis is highly impactful because this industry operates on a universal level, thus increasing the importance of worldwide awareness. This detailed general environmental analysis has demonstrated the environment which relates to the food distribution industry and exemplifies the most impactful segments. Thorough understanding of the general environment is a crucial component of the strategic analysis as it provides insight on how the industry is affected by various influences. This component of the study led to the conclusive observation that segments such as demographics, economics, politics, socioculture, technology, and global trends are highly impactful to the general environment. The high collective impact of these segments within the environment lead to the volatile fluctuations within the industry. This requires strategic business planning to account for potential disasters, depressions, and depreciation. These segments are interconnected and all relate to one another, largely dependent on the regional location of business and their target consumers. It is the business's obligation to meet relevant needs of their consumers to mitigate each of these highly impactful segments. As communities continue to develop and advance, corporations must make immense efforts in keeping up with the industry fluctuations and innovations developed daily. This is strong incentive for companies to constantly improve, advance, innovate, and enhance the quality of the industry. There are many factors which influence the environment, which means companies in the food distribution industry must remain fluid with their planning, preserve their corporate vision, and put core values into action daily. Now we move into the industry analysis, which consists of evaluating 5 major components: the description of the industry dominant economic factors, the market size, market growth rate, and industry trends. This information is valuable as it allows companies to remain aware of the industry influences and how to overcome variations. Sysco should take into account such factors to construct a unique strategic plan with preparations for potential risk and threats within the industry. Complete understanding of the relevant industry is necessary to navigate obstacles successfully with a calculated strategic plan in mind. With Sysco being in the food service distribution industry, they play a vital role in the supply chain of food products, including dairy, seafood, produce, desserts, as well as non-food items such as sanitary products and chemicals. The demand for these goods is high in numerous regions worldwide. which is the exact reason why established brands such as Sysco have held such a competitive advantage in maintaining operations internationally. This specific industry will always have a significant demand because there will always be a need for food products. The ever-expanding market allows the opportunity for companies in this industry to achieve economies of scale and relatively low costs of goods sold. Unfortunately, there was evidence of a slight increase in the cost of goods sold, specifically in the UK, during fiscal year 2018, which may have been caused for a variety of reasons. There are many laws and regulations regarding food and health products, which forces companies in the food service industry to remain flexible with its services and product availability. This includes compliance with associations such as the FDA, the HACCP, the USDA, and more. The industry is exposed to a multitude of obstacles and influences which shape the well-being of its nature, and these associations help maintain a reasonable level of standards. Next, we go into the industry-dominant economic factors. In order for a firm to sustain good economic status, the company must consistently improve, grow, and expand the scope of business. This requires acute awareness of specific components of the industry, including rival firms, supply and demand trends, and technological innovations within the market. It is evident that dominant industry leaders consistently research and track market trends as reflected in their continuous high-ranking positions in the trade. Global leaders in the industry maintain their position due to strategic planning, prioritizing rival awareness, and market relevance. It is essential to gain knowledge of certain market trends in order to properly devise a strategic plan reflective of all impacts. This includes a highly impactful market size and market growth rate, which must be assessed thoroughly as an indicator of future projected trends, which can be accounted for in a proper strategic plan. This specific industry is depicted by low margins, periods of inflation and deflation, as well as varying product cost. Next, the market size. Understanding the scale of the market size allows distributors in the industry to provide an appropriate amount of goods and services to meet the existing demand. This specific industry tends to generate a large sum of earnings, generally upwards of $331 billion globally, with the majority produced in the U.S. There are an estimated 15,000 food service distribution centers in the United States that provide hundreds of thousands of jobs worldwide. There will always be a considerable demand in the industry because food and food service supplies will always be a necessity for institutions such as schools, hospitals, hotels, and other facilities. This projection is promising for companies like Sysco, which continue to expand and dominate the food service industry. Sysco's broad-line operations generate most of its earnings, which implies that the company is likely better off incorporating more national facilities into its strategic plan than international locations due to the consistent demand and local popularity. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, the food service industry appears to be a large and growing market. Operations in the United States tend to generate the greatest demand and profits, which incentivizes Sysco to pay special attention to local taste and preferences. Now, the market growth rate. The market growth rate affecting Sysco and competing companies in the industry alike is substantial, leading to optimal financial performances with 6.1% growth in sales, as stated in the 2018 annual report. This is a considerable market growth rate as reportedly contributed to an increase in operating income, gross profit dollar, and overall sales. However, this specific industry is fragmented and highly competitive, according to Sysco's 2018 annual report, meaning there are many competitors which the company is up against to maintain the market relevance. This growth rate in the market leaves Sysco scrambling to remain a leader in its industry, leaving the company with an objective of differentiation to outshine competitors. This can be done through measures such as decreased prices or increased expenditures, which may have some impact on operations but will likely be worthwhile in the long run. An effective differentiation strategy is vital for a company like Sysco in order to stand out in an industry with many challenging competitors. Lastly, the industry trends for the industry analysis. Despite the growth of the food service distribution industry in recent years, there is still room for volatility in any market, as seen in the unsteady demand for food away from home products. This demand is unpredictable and extremely price sensitive, insinuating that consumers are very reactive towards price increases. This fluctuating demand in the industry is an important trend to account for because companies can strategize appropriately to satisfy its customer base. Adjustments may include limiting prices or offering certain discounts, which helps appeal to consumers and enhance their overall satisfaction, thus strengthening the company reputation. As customers change their tastes and preferences, companies must be quick to adapt or risk losing sales. One of the most obvious trends in growing demand for convenience and variety, which companies account for through expansive strategies that focus on differentiation. Sysco's 2018 financial report stated that the general macroeconomic trends were continuously positive in the U.S., with promising projections in the future, which may be due to the company's increase in flexible menu convenience and additional delivery availability to maximize its consumer base. This has proven to be beneficial for the company as it has seen overall financial growth since this strategy has been implemented. Next, the Five Forces analysis. The Five Forces analysis is a crucial component of the external environment because it highlights the influences of other competitors in the market as well as the power of suppliers and buyers. The five forces analyzed in this section are the rivalry among competitors, threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, and lastly, the threat of substitute products. These factors played roles of different magnitude in the influence of the industry and must be accounted for in order to strategize effectively. The impact of these factors can be rated as either weak, moderate, or strong in the following diagram. We start with the threat of new entrants. Although there are few barriers to market entry in this specific industry, these new entrants are a relatively weak threat towards established corporations. New entrants in this industry may include niche specialties or small-scale local movements. This is due to several reasons, including brand recognition, large company dominance, and economies of scale. The food service distribution industry allows new entrants with few barriers, but these new establishments often have difficulty gaining popularity with such huge competitors already active in the market. Since the top large corporations are already trusted by many facilities, such as hospitals, hotels, and schools worldwide, it would be difficult, though not impossible, for a new entrant to secure enough sales to surpass the dominating firms in the industry. The food service distribution industry is highly competitive, and the success is reliant on willingness to diversify and expand operations beyond one specialty. Sysco has dominated in the industry because of this objective, which has allowed the corporation to offer its own products, services, distribution, delivery, and more, while simultaneously adhering to regional preferences. However, customer taste and preferences are changing every day, meaning corporations such as Sysco need to be in tune with consumer trends, such as the movements towards more natural products. According to Sysco's annual report, non-traditional rivals are growing competitively, which is a major concern for the company. In order to retain market relevance, companies must strategize to account for the possibility of new entrants by consistently diversifying products and market approach. Next, the power of suppliers. Due to Sysco's substantial size and market presence, the company has a competitive advantage over rival firms such as U.S. Foods because of its extensive network and considerable economies of scale. Sysco purchases from thousands of suppliers in the U.S. and internationally, and alternates between suppliers such that none accounts for more than 10% of the company's purchases. According to Sysco's 2018 annual report, the corporation makes purchases from both large-scale private providers as well as independent regional brands, supporting all sizes of producers to meet market demands. Sysco has strategically built its corporation with a supply chain network operating in many countries, which has allowed the organization to build relationships with its suppliers. For this reason, the power of suppliers is weak in the instance because Sysco has a strong, long-lasting arrangement with many of its suppliers, but none of the individual suppliers hold much leverage over the corporation because it has so many other strategic alternatives. Next, the power of buyers. The power of buyers is considerably strong in this industry, especially for a corporation like Sysco, which values consumer demands. Consumers are able to exert a strong pressure on the business to demand better quality, services, or even prices. The power of buyers is especially strong for Sysco because this corporation is strongly influenced by its buyers. The high power of buyers is exemplified through Sysco's corporate strategy of prioritizing the consumer's taste and preferences. This includes certain moves such as purchasing from regional suppliers to suit customers' preferences, as well as including more natural and sustainable products. It is crucial for Sysco to pay close attention to the demands of its buyers because the competition is so vast in the industry. There are many companies competing for business in this growing market, which means Sysco must work hard to keep its consumer base rather than losing buyers to other alternatives such as wholesale and retail outlets, or even online stores, club grocery stores. Buyers have the power to take their business elsewhere if they are dissatisfied with products or services, which forces Sysco to constantly improve and upgrade its operations to keep up with changing demands. Next, we have the power of substitutes. According to Sysco's 2018 annual report, the corporation serves approximately 16% of the $289 billion food service market in the U.S. Thus, it can be inferred that the remaining 84% of the market consists of competitors which offer substitute products similar to Sysco's. For this reason, it can be determined that the power of substitutes is relatively high in this market because there is a wide variety of alternative options available to consumers. This includes an array of companies ranging from large corporations to small, local suppliers. The power of substitutes is considerably high in this market due to lower cost substitutes on the market, which puts pressure on the prices of companies like Sysco. Sysco must continually remain aware of the substitutes on the market, specifically noting lower cost or higher quality substitute products, which would serve as a definite threat to the corporation. To conclude Porter's 5 forces, we end with intensity of rivalry. Although the food service distribution industry is so highly fragmented and competitive, it can be determined that the intensity of rivalry is moderate in this instance. Sysco relies heavily on its diversified product base, multi-regional presence, and marketing strategies to maintain market relevance in such a highly competitive industry. One of the most prominent plans Sysco has demonstrated over the years is its strategic acquisitions and mergers. This strategy was utilized in the purchase of many companies including CFS Continental, Circa Food Services, Asian Foods, and Palace Foods. This strategy has lessened the threat of many of Sysco's rivals over the years while also expanding its operations to locations like Canada and Ireland. It is imperative that Sysco continues to search for opportunities to grow so it can consistently stand out in a market with undeniably strong intensity of rivalry and growing competition. To sum up the 5 forces, a thorough analysis of the 5 forces that impact the food service distribution industry is crucial in the development of an effective strategic plan. In order to gain success as well as maintain it, a company must be willing to perform a very detailed analysis of each of these forces: the threat of new entrants, power of suppliers, power of buyers, power of substitutes, and intensity of rivalry. The threat of new entrants was the first force which could positively be categorized as posing a weak threat simply because new entrants in the industry lacked the reputation earned by established corporations such as Cisco. This means other businesses would be more likely to trust an established brand more than a new one because consumers tend to have greater faith in companies that have been around for longer. This is an advantage for Cisco since the corporation has lasted decades and continued to flourish, expand, and also innovate to maintain its loyal customer base. The five forces analysis revealed one weak force in the industry, which was identified as the power of suppliers. Due to the plethora of suppliers in the food service industry, it is easy to find many alternatives if one supplier fails. Additionally, Cisco has made wise strategic arrangements with its suppliers to lessen the power of each of them over the company. It is obvious that Cisco puts effort into building long-lasting relationships with many of its large suppliers, while also supporting smaller local suppliers regionally. The five forces analysis detected one moderate force, which was determined to be the intensity of rivalry. Although there are many highly competitive firms within the industry, there are many preventative measures which can be implemented to lessen this impact, as exhibited by Cisco Corporation. This organization has lessened the impact of rivalry through strategic acquisitions and mergers over the years. This strategy simultaneously strengthened the corporation while eliminating competition. Although this plan has not always proven to be effective, it can be mitigated through strategic preparations and arrangements. The remaining two forces were determined to have relatively high impacts on the industry, which are the power of substitutes and the power of buyers. These two forces are seemingly intertwined, and both concern the consumer. With so many competing companies in the industry, there is clearly a high degree of substitutes available to consumers on the market. This means the buyers always have the power to turn down a certain product in favor of a different product, whether it be a lower price or a higher quality. This is demonstrative of the degree of power held by the buyers because if the consumer is dissatisfied, the product simply will not sell. Cisco commends itself on valuing its customers' opinions and prioritizing customer satisfaction. Cisco's strategy has clearly proven to be successful in overcoming these impactful obstacles as it continues to thrive as a global leader in a highly competitive industry. Next, we move into the driving forces analysis. Every industry in the world is driven by certain forces which enforce certain pressures on it to stimulate constant improvements. The food service distribution industry is influenced by many forces, but the top four forces include product variety, technology, globalization, and customer satisfaction. Each of these factors play a significant role in shaping the industry for different reasons. It is apparent from past trends that these factors have consistently put pressures on the industry over time, thus supporting the idea that these four forces are extremely important to take into consideration when developing a strategic plan of business. Upon taking these four forces into account, effective strategic recommendations can be made to assist the company with further success. The first force, which has undeniably put pressures on the food service distribution industry, is product variety. In order to keep up with the changing operating environment, companies like Cisco must consistently innovate to retain sales. This ideally incorporates product variety. As demonstrated in Cisco's attempt to incorporate a variety of products, including locally grown food products, ethnic goods, specialty meats, fresh produce, and even includes a branch of non-food products such as cleaning supplies and chemicals. Cisco has done a phenomenal job maintaining product variety, offering an array of food products that suit the need of different diets worldwide. As stated in Cisco's 2018 annual report, the company is willing to change its menu options to reflect these changing consumer demands, which may include making minor modifications or even discontinuing certain products. This is demonstrative of Cisco's willingness to adapt to pressures in the market, which is reflected in the corporation's financial success around the globe. The second driving force which affects the food service distribution industry is technology. The world is consistently innovating and improving technology, which strengthens corporations' ability to network and interact with both business partners and consumers. Developing technology also helps corporations make effective transactions and deliveries, effectively distributing the products faster than ever before. It is imperative for companies such as Sysco to consistently develop technologically to keep up with rival firms and growing demands from consumers. Not only does developed technology provide consumers with product awareness, it also helps connect the operating network and make quick, effective deliveries. The third driving force in the industry is globalization, which is crucial for companies with expansive objectives such as Sysco. In order for a company to reach its full potential, it must consider expansive strategies to stimulate business worldwide and maximize its sales opportunities. Sysco gained most of its momentum as a firm upon expansions into other regions, which has led to its title of the largest global distributor of food and related products. Sysco stated in a report that it has achieved this status through both operational expansions and acquisitions, which further exemplifies the need for globalization. Sysco has taken the opportunity to tap into other market demands worldwide, which has simultaneously enhanced the menu availability for buyers. Globalization is clearly a key force in the industry because it stimulates expansions into other markets, thus increasing business opportunities. The final driving force which affects the food distribution industry is customer satisfaction. Evidently, the corporations which withstand the test of time are those which adhere to consumer demands and adapt to the growing needs of the buyers. Customer satisfaction is one of Sysco's top priorities, which has led to the corporation's success in many markets worldwide. It is somewhat difficult to navigate international norms and standards, but Sysco has taken great stride towards satisfying an array of different consumers with varying taste and preferences. Customer satisfaction is a huge factor in the industry because if a company fails to appease to its customers, the company will never succeed in building the support base needed to flourish as a business. Sysco has clearly surpassed customer expectations as the corporation continues to see success and satisfaction within the industry. Understanding each of these four factors individually is important, but comprehension of their power combined is essential in strategic planning for maintaining market relevance and the competitive edge over rivals. These four factors are each very impactful, but they often act interconnectedly, meaning corporations like Sysco must have complete understanding of their effects in order to strategize with accommodations for all. Based on these findings, it is first highly recommended that the companies within the industry follow in Sysco's footsteps of expanding internationally to achieve economies of scale, market relevance, and product awareness worldwide. Second, it is recommended that companies in the industry achieve economies of scale and effective supply chain management through both internal operation expansion as well as external acquisitions and strategic mergers. This strategy strengthens the firm internally as well as externally to helping achieve the market dominance while reducing competition and thus bolstering the market power. Now we head into the competition analysis. The food service distribution industry engages with many businesses, which poses a competitive threat to companies such as Sysco on a multi-regional basis. According to Sysco's 2018 annual report, the company sometimes faces purchasing cooperatives and marketing groups orchestrated by competing distributors as a challenge designed to manage purchasing power. Cisco must remain acutely aware of the competing firms surrounding it, which requires extensive research on rivals, including their core competencies, techniques, products, and weaknesses. After understanding each of these competitive factors, then the corporate strategy can be developed and implemented to ensure prosperity. A strategic group mapping will follow to demonstrate which companies are actively competing with the Sysco Corporation based on a spectrum of threat posed. After determination of the measure of threat posed by each of these companies, certain strategies and flaws will be examined for each company so that recommendations may be formed with the best possible outcome in mind. This evaluation will give valuable insight on the top rivals competing within the industry, including their strengths, weaknesses, strategies, and objectives. A close look at these companies will bring to light critical information regarding members of the highly competitive food service distribution industry. The purpose of the strategic group map is to visually demonstrate the competing firms in the industry, accounting for annual sales, vertical integration, and product price and quality. In order to determine an accurate ranking of the degree of vertical integration exhibited by each of the listed companies, a detailed analysis was completed for each of the firms based on average annual sales, overall consumer satisfaction, scale of supply chain organization, and international capabilities. These factors each play a vital role in the overall success of a company in this industry, making these all crucial competitive components. It is apparent that Sysco Corporation has utilized a high degree of vertical integration, which has rewarded the organization with the leading market position in the industry with an approximate $30 billion lead over its top competitor, the U.S. Foods Corporation. As seen in the diagram, the overall leader in this industry is Sysco, with the highest degree of vertical integration, the best product quality and prices, and the largest reported annual revenue by a great margin. Following second is the U.S. Foods Holding Corporation, which poses a significant threat despite accumulating significantly less earnings than Sysco last year. This is due to U.S. Foods' domination in the American market, which is only a portion of Sysco's target audience. Although U.S. Foods is a regional broadline distributor, it still carries weight in the market because Sysco has dozens of other distribution facilities scattered around the U.S. This means each of Sysco's broadline distribution centers must compete directly with U.S. Foods for loyal customers, which can put pressures on prices and quality of different products. Sysco must remain especially aware of the U.S. Foods strategy, product line, and marketing techniques in order to overcome the company's competitive threat. Closely following the U.S. Foods is Performance Food Group, PFG, which brought in approximately one-third of the amount of sales Sysco accounted for in the most recent SEC filings. The following two corporations, United Natural Foods Incorporated and Amcon Distributing Co., account for very minimal sales in this industry relative to other firms and at both considerably low degrees of vertical integration. Additionally, these firms have relatively limited product variety and availability, which contributes to their overall lack of sales. It is possible for these firms to still gain momentum in the industry if they were to increase strategic movements, execute in R&D, and expand the scope of their business operations similarly to Sysco. Otherwise, Sysco appears to have a considerable competitive advantage over its closest competitors in the industry. With some rivals planning to make strategic moves, it appears members of the food service distribution industry are prioritizing consumer demands now more than ever. This means businesses are responsive towards buyers' diets, tastes, and preferences, offering a more product variety than ever before. For this reason, companies in the industry may pay close attention to consumer demands and strategize to meet such pressures in order to maintain market relevance. In addition, firms must remain technologically advanced in order to keep up with its consumers, which simultaneously increases the efficiency and networking of the corporation. It can be anticipated that other firms in the industry will attempt to develop technologically to keep up with the industry trends and consumer demands. For this reason, Sysco must strategize to account for such innovations coming from competitive firms. Ultimately, The main strategy of competing firms in this industry should be globalization and expansion to reach consumers on a broader scale, therefore maximizing business opportunities and also sales revenue. This goal cannot be achieved without acute strategizing, marketing techniques, and close relationships with buyers and suppliers. Through globalization, companies can achieve economies of scale while also appealing to a broader consumer base, which is beneficial to the corporation in terms of financial earnings and building a reliable reputation. Should companies like US Foods and United Natural Foods choose to expand internationally, they would pose a much greater threat to Sysco because they would begin to attract more consumers worldwide and may ultimately disperse business. Finally, the last strategy of rival firms may implement is competing purchasing cooperatives and marketing groups. Such strategies would allow groups to enhance their competitive abilities by improving purchasing power, extending the product mix, and expanding geographic opportunities. Sysco depends on its consumer contracts and efficient distribution systems to maintain its loyal customer base. In order to overcome any rival's anticipated move, Sysco must consistently diverse its product mix, expand internationally, and respond to consumer demands. These projected competitive strategies are only applicable to short-term evaluation and applications, wherein another analysis will need to be performed in the long run to account for any new market changes or emerging demands. To sum up the competition analysis, through the detailed evaluation of the industry competition using the strategic group map and the close examination of the anticipated rival moves, firms within the industry can make informed decisions for future plans and investments. The information uncovered in the previous portion of the competition analysis will be used to make effective recommendations for firms in this market to maximize success. As explored previously, it is vital for a company to maintain market awareness, which includes rivals' anticipated strategic moves and projected industry trends. Sysco has seen undeniable success in this aspect due to continuous research and development, globalization, innovation, as well as diversification. It is recommended that other firms in the industry attempt to implement such strategies because this will optimize business and strengthen market presence. Now, the key success factors. To maintain market relevance in the food service distribution industry, there are 6 key success factors which aid companies in maximizing potential prosperity, as illustrated in the diagram. These 6 factors are supply chain efficiency, speed and convenience, the ability to adapt, consumer prioritization, rival awareness, and product diversity. According to Sysco's 2018 annual report, the top competitors in the industry are those which remain competitively aware, responsive to consumer demands, and flexible in strategy to accommodate fluctuations and changing pressures in the market. Although each of these 6 factors are important individually, their impact is greatest when combined and intertwined. In order to properly combine the powers of these key success factors, we must first deconstruct them to understand each factor in its entirety. The first factor of success, speed and convenience, is critical in satisfying consumers and building a reliable reputation in the market. In order to optimize speed and convenience, companies ought to continuously expand operations in different regions to ensure a vast coverage of consumers. When a company has numerous distribution facilities like Sysco, it is able to connect with its clientele rapidly and effectively, thus re-emphasizing its dependable reputation earned over many decades. This factor ties in very closely with the following factor of success, which is supply chain efficiency. This factor of success is clearly demonstrated throughout Sysco's strategic plan with vertical integration, expansive operations, practical production, and distinguished distribution. The third prominent key factor of success is ability to adapt and as it relates to governmental regulations, environmental concerns, consumer demands, technological innovations, competitive pressures, and more. The ability to adapt means a company must be flexible and open-minded to growing and changing with the world economy and adjusting business to accommodate such changes. A specific example of this in the food service industry is the growing shift in consumer demand for natural, organic, and plant-based options for healthier dieting styles. This is an obstacle for the food service distributors, which must look for specific suppliers who can match these distinct requests. Not all companies can keep up with such demands, as options can be quite costly and limited. In order for a company to be able to adapt, it must have sufficient suppliers, adequate funds for investments, and dedication to research and development to remain aware of industry pressures. The fourth key factor of success in the food distribution industry is consumer prioritization, which is a company's willingness to modify its strategy to satisfy customers. Prioritizing customer opinions not only helps enhance the buyer's experience, it also strengthens brand's reputation, increases satisfaction ratings, and provides valuable insight on the current trends in the market. Companies like Sysco gain a lot of momentum in the market when implementing a customer-first strategy, because buyers will feel valued and thus will be more likely to return to business in the future. This ensures long-lasting relationships with consumers and creates a loyal fan base for the company, securing profits indefinitely. Communication is a strong component of this factor of success, because consumers must be able to openly express their opinions in order for the firm to adjust. To ensure this capability, companies ought to prioritize communication programs and consumer-friendly technology interfaces to stimulate interaction. The fifth key factor of success for companies in the food service distribution industry is rival awareness. In order for a company to have continuous success in an industry, it must have constant awareness of the surrounding competitors' strategies, competencies, and weaknesses. Maintaining an idea of anticipated rival moves means a company can preemptively counteract any decisions made by competitors to remain dominant within the industry. By tracking previous rival moves, companies can gain an informative idea of potential future strategies which can be accounted for and planned around. It is imperative to predict the moves of rival firms to make effective business strategies and gain market prominence. The final key factor of success in the industry is product diversity, which encompasses both diversification and differentiation. Product diversity is important to practice because companies should consistently introduce innovative products to satisfy more consumers and attract new buyers. This strategy helps companies appeal to existing customers while establishing new markets, especially if the company has a multi-regional operations. Appealing to a broader base of people helps companies flourish because their products are relevant to consumers worldwide, thus increasing demand and sales. Utilization of this strategy, combined with the previous 5 success factors, can assuredly help a company thrive in the food distribution industry. The strategic blend of these 6 key success factors will ensure maximum growth, customer satisfaction, and market success for companies within the industry. Now we move into the internal analysis. An in-depth analysis of the internal environment of Sysco will be performed in a subsequent portion of this paper. The internal analysis will provide valuable information regarding the qualities and capabilities of the organization to critique the strategy currently implemented. Thorough execution of this analysis will allow relevant internal and external recommendations to be made. The following will contain 4 segments, including an organizational analysis, analysis of the firm's resources, a financial analysis, and a SWOT analysis. Each of these 4 segments will be comprised of various other sections, beginning with the organizational analysis, which highlights the corporate mission, products and services, their leadership team, organizational culture, their structure, as well as their strategy. This segment will use the 7S framework to examine these elements and how they function interconnectedly. Next, Sysco's resources will be analyzed with distinctions between tangible and intangible resources. This section will also include Sysco's capabilities, competencies, and sustainable advantages over competition using the VRIO framework. The following segment will consist of an intricate financial analysis examining valuation, growth, profit, profitability, financial strength, and management efficiency. These elements should be assessed entirely in order to advise the company profitability. Finally, the concluding segment will consist of the SWOT framework analysis to detect the organization's internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as the external opportunities and threats. These factors must be taken into consideration for the development of an improved corporate strategy reflective of strengths and mindful of the weaknesses. To move on into the organizational analysis, through humble beginnings to huge accomplishments, Sysco has maintained its core values of integrity, excellence, teamwork, inclusiveness, and responsibility. The company prides itself on its strong reputation built on high ethical standards, fairness, and cooperation. Upholding such high value aids the company in its stable success in the food service distribution industry because it sets Sysco apart from the rest of the competition in terms of ethics, conduct, and dependability. The subsequent organizational analysis will assess Sysco's corporate mission, products and services, leadership team, organizational culture, their structure, and strategy. As you can see in the 7X framework, the nature of the organization's shared values, strategy, structure, systems, staff, style, and skills. This web work allows crucial insight regarding strategic improvements for Sysco Corporation. Their corporate mission is to market and deliver great products to our customers with exceptional service. This statement alone provides valuable insight regarding Sysco's primarily values because of the deliberate emphasis placed on its phenomenal products and services. This mission statement appeals to consumers because mentioning great products with exceptional service will catch the attention of any customer in this market. This statement also successfully makes the customer feel valued with declared goal of exceptional service. It is made clear that to consumers that are valued just as much as the products themselves, which is both reassuring and promising. Valuing customer service will always benefit the company as it allows the base to feel more significant when compared to other companies which prioritize profit. It is certainly obvious that Sysco is dedicated to fulfilling its mission statement, made clear through its strong reputation, customer satisfaction, and long-term success secured over time. Sysco delivers its diverse products to customers around the world while maintaining high approval ratings and customer satisfaction simultaneously. Sysco is rightfully confident in its ability to reach customers worldwide because its many regional operations connecting various locations around the globe. It is safe to assume that Sysco consistently lives up to its corporate mission as the organization aims to satisfy consumers and meet growing demands. For products and services, as a dominant member of the food service distribution industry, Sysco provides a wide array of items including locally grown food products, ethnic goods, specialty meats, fresh produce, and even offers a branch of non-food products such as chemicals and cleaning supplies. Sysco carries various food categories including dairy, meat, produce, bakery, desserts, and even seafood. The corporation is part of the innovative initiative Buy Local, Sell Fresh, which stimulates the local food movement and provides a connection to national corporations. Sysco strives to use fresh, high-quality ingredients throughout its extensive distribution network around the globe. This is achieved through the established connections with specialty suppliers and strategized business expertise, which Sysco boasts pridefully on its webpage. Sysco's broad network of distribution centers paired with fresh products allows the organization to meet consumer demands worldwide. Sysco must take several variables into consideration when serving its products to consumers, which is why the organization pays special attention to both regional and local influences. These two influences are often conflated but must be distinguished because there are certain values associated with local foods while there are growing procurement related to value chains and regional networks. Among Cisco's services are culinary and recipe support, training and personal support, and menu solutions. These services provide menu consultations, recipe ideas, assess the local test kitchens, restaurant opening guides, and much more. These opportunities allow businesses to run more smoothly, efficiently, and cost effectively by offering knowledgeable guidance. Sysco products can be found listed under a variety of high quality brands, including Arizo, Baker's Source, Block and Barrel, Casa Solana, Sysco Earth Plus, Free River Farms, Jade Mountain, Newport Pride, and Portico Seafood. The names of these branches alone give a glimpse of how diverse of a corporation Sysco is and how regional demands influence different brands. Their leadership team within Sysco is powerfully led by Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer Ton Beignet. Mr. Beignet has been a member of the Sysco team since 2013 and has 23 years of prior executive experience in the food industry. Since joining the company, Beignet rose steadily from positions of increasing responsibility, promoting from Executive Vice President and Chief Merchandising Officer in 2013 to President and CEO in 2018. Although Sysco's annual profits have been rising steadily before his promotion, the company has undoubtedly seen significant profits during his short time as CEO thus far. With $58 billion in sales at the end of 2018 as compared to $48 billion in 2015. Among the executive team under Mr. Beignet as Senior Vice President Brian Beach, Executive Vice Presidents Greg Bertrand and Scott Carlton, Chief Financial Officer Joel Grade, and Senior Vice Presidents Ajoy Karna, Greg Keller, and Emmy McFadden. These executives work together diligently to uphold the high values of ethics and of Sysco Corporation with the goal of being the best business partner possible. The team has prosperous aspirations aiming to increase sales growth from 4% to 4.5% to earn $50 million increase in operating income growth compared to 2017. Each member of Sysco's team works meticulously to achieve the high standards set in place by the corporation and demonstrates effective business management. Within their organizational culture, due to Sysco's vast operations in various countries worldwide, the corporation must adhere to very diverse preferences and thus prioritize inclusivity. Sysco caters to its consumers' diverse needs and creates lines that appeal to different global regions. Sysco also prioritizes its high ethical standards and performs entirely around quality assurance. Diversity is demonstrated in the organization's workforce to be reflective of the various communities served. Prioritizing exceptional customer service aids the company's success and fuels business growth. Sysco is proudly committed to working collectively, inclusively, and diversely, which supports its cultural approach to organizational culture. Sysco even offers a diversity and inclusion program to diversify its team and recruit the best people from a variety of backgrounds. Diversity is a beneficial marketing approach because it allows for a balance of multinational businesses while appealing to a broad range of consumers' tastes and preferences, thus strengthening the relationship between consumers and the company. In addition to an inclusive and diverse approach, Sysco's organizational culture is largely influenced by its expansive objectives towards globalization. This objective is impactful since the organization must be mindful of cultural differences and discover balance between various business styles globally to satisfy consumer taste and preferences. There is also an abundance of legal obstacles that must be faced when operating as a multinational firm such as Sysco, which brings forth political and legislative hindrances. Aside from these various obstacles, it is undoubtedly beneficial to operate on both a local and international level which diversifies and multiplies the prospective consumer base, ultimately increasing potential sales. Social responsibility is a large component of the organizational culture of Sysco because of the company dedicatedly cares for people and supplies its products responsibly, with an overarching goal of protecting the planet for generations to come. Cis- Specifically, Cisco has launched a 2018 Corporate Social Responsibility Report which aims to deliver a better tomorrow for the future. This initiative includes explicit commitments, including 200 million meal donations in local communities, $50 million to contribute to local communities, and sourcing 20% of electricity from renewable resources, and many more. These incentives are largely influenced by the corporation's organizational culture, which is reflective of a multitude of necessities based on the earth and its inhabitants. With these new public goals set to achieve by 2025, Cisco has boosted its commitments in corporate social responsibility, thus setting a positive example for other firms to follow is an advantage lead. Within their structure, the structural integrity of any corporation is largely dependent upon organizational order, effective communication, and advancing efficiency. These elements each play a role in the success of prospective business and can only be prosperous when a dedicated workforce is paired with a loyal consumer base. Innovative decisions are made within Cisco through their executive team, officers, and board of directors of Cisco Corporation, which consists of a diverse group of individuals from different backgrounds. The underlying principle that unifies these individuals is simple: do the right thing. This corporation has equally prioritized its relationship with consumers, providers, communities, and investors. Cisco aims to always act in accordance with the law while also acting in good faith. With this principle publicly pledged, Cisco guarantees that its team members will always strive to do the right thing in any situation. Within the board of directors are several specifically dedicated committees with the designated purpose of smooth functionality in the business structure. Among these are the Audit Committee, Compensation Committee, Corporate Governance and Nominating Committee, Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, and Executive Committee. There is also a combination of inside and outside direction, which allows chairpersons and financial experts in the arrangement. This structural balance ensures fair business decision and strategic planning through both objective and subjective lenses. The final component of Cisco's structure is influenced largely by its main categories of business partnerships. These types of business include restaurants, healthcare facilities, educational or government facilities, and hotels, among others. Because Cisco is aware that even minor changes in consumer eating habits may shift business trends, the corporation meticulously researches the demographics of these different business arrangements. This includes detailed knowledge of various subjects including millennial preferences, shifts in taste, and changing in portion size, all of which are volatile factors of demand in this specific industry. All of these factors must be considered when making structural decisions with business partners, which is the primary reason Cisco is dedicated to research and development on this matter. Moving on to their strategy, many of the companies within the food service distribution industry aim to capitalize on economies of scale, which is achieved through expansive objectives and globalized operations. Extending operations internationally to obtain economies of scale is optimal while it lowers marginal cost. It simultaneously boosts the market relevance and product awareness worldwide. Economies of scale and effective supply chain management are achieved through internal operation development and external expansions alike. This strategy accelerates a company's prosperity and strengthens the organization both internally and externally while asserting market dominance, reducing rivalry, and enhancing market power. Cisco Corporation offers a variety of products and services to appeal to a broad market of consumers globally, which puts it in direct competition with other companies such as US Foods and the Performance Food Group. Because Cisco has capitalized on its achievement of economies of scale, it remains significantly ahead of rival firms in steady profit growth, higher margins than opponents, and a huge portion of the market share. This strategic plan is advantageous for Cisco and allows the corporation to capitalize on a large percentage of the international demand within the food service distribution industry, satisfying almost 20% of the global demand. Cisco attributes its prosperity to its consumer-first strategy, which is the principal focus within the organization and contributes to consistent success in achieving financial goals. Continuous involvement of the organization is another key component of Cisco's strategy, achieved through optimizing the business, utilizing the power of the personnel, and continuing to deliver operational excellence. Following these strategic priorities will ideally yield positive profit, growth, increased market share, and innovative industry relevance. The final components to Cisco's strategy can be summed up as people, products, and planet. These three priorities are taken into account with each strategic decision because Cisco is committed to making positive, long-lasting impressions. Through responsibility and dedication, Cisco is determined to deliver fresh, high-quality products to consumers while protecting the planet concurrently. In summary, with an acute focus on the several forces presented in the 7S framework, this analysis has examined the organization's mission, product and services, organizational culture, their structure, and strategy. Close examination of the corporate mission statement revealed Cisco's dedication to exceptional customer service and excellent products. It is clear that Cisco is committed to diversity and inclusivity, as exemplified through its vast product and service lines. Not only does Cisco offer a diverse product line, it also offers an array of services such as menu consultation, marketing tools, restaurant opening guidance, and more. This multinational firm must compete innovatively because it is a part of a broad market and is attempting to satisfy assorted regional groups' needs, which is why its organizational culture revolves around diversity. A unique quality of Cisco's structure is its explicit dedication to doing the right thing and acting in good faith while with accordance to law. This principle is intrinsic throughout the company and serves as a baseline for all employee standards. Cisco's strategy is intricate and mainly revolves around an achievement of economies of scale, secured through global operations and large-scale production. Cisco also prioritizes people, products, and our planet through innovation, ingenuity, and integrity. Cisco is able to maintain a strong competitive advantage over similar firms in the food service distribution industry because not only is this organization dedicated to high-quality products, it also prioritizes customer service awareness, which appeals to consumers. Cisco's success with economies of scale has largely contributed to its financial profit and cost leadership. Cisco's organizational structure is clearly diverse, intricate, and complex, which is the reason this in-depth analysis has concluded that Cisco is dominant in the food service distribution industry because it is unique among many other companies. Cisco utilizes the economies of scale, vertical integration, and strategic planning to optimize growth and ensure prosperity. In combination, these 6 factors examined in the analysis set Cisco apart from its rivals and allow it to maintain its leading position in the industry as a dominant corporation. As we move into the analysis of the firm's resources, we look at the VRIO framework. In order to fully comprehend the resources and capabilities which have contributed to Cisco's long-term competitive advantage, the VRIO framework will be utilized. The 4 types of resources that will be analyzed through this framework are tangible, intangible capabilities, and core competencies and sustainable advantages. The VRIO framework will determine whether sources are valuable, rare, immutable, and whether the company is organized around a particular resource or capability. These qualities are often intertwined and enhance the perceived worth of a resource, such that a resource which is difficult to imitate is also considered rare and valuable. Resources, core competencies and capabilities are imperative to the success of a corporation because these are central factors when considering strategic business planning and implementation. The tangible resources are those which have a physical and measurable form, including both fixed and current assets. Tangible resources are assets such as machinery, buildings, land, and inventory. In Sysco's case, tangible resources includes items in inventory, financial assets, regional real estate, technological assets, operational warehouses, and distribution centers. Overall, Sysco believes that while other firms have wasted time and money with short-term tactics, its consistent long-term investments in human and technical resources are certainly worthwhile. In fact, Sysco's policy is to invest in only high-quality investments. This strategy is advantageous to Sysco and contributes to its long-lasting competitive advantage over other firms which only strategize for short term. Although each of the tangible resources utilized at Sysco is categorically valuable to the corporation, only one of them is rare and difficult to imitate by competitors. This rare resource is the land and real estate owned by Sysco worldwide, in which operations and distribution can reach a wide scope of consumers globally. This strategy serves as a long-term competitive advantage over other firms which tend to operate on a smaller scale or national level. Although this expansive business strategy is risky and comes with global legal obstacles, it is also highly rewarding because Sysco is maximizing its potential consumer base, thus amplifying projected profits. This resource is also inimitable because international land acquisition is costly and not always practical for smaller firms, but Sysco's established presence in the market and business expertise allows for ease of expansion. It is safe to infer that this business strategy and associated tangible resources are paramount to the organizational integrity of Sysco Corporation. Their intangible resources are the opposite of tangible. Therefore, they do not have a physical nature but still provide value to the business. Among these resources are forms of brand recognition and intellectual property, such as patents, copyrights, and accounts receivable. One of the most notable intangible resources utilized by this corporation lies in the strategizing based on multiculturalism, diversity, and inclusivity. The corporation rests on these underlying intangible principles, using social and cultural awareness to thrive globally. With expansion pressures to consistently grow and globalize, Sysco must utilize its diverse intangible resources while continuing research and development to maintain its competitive advantage in the industry. Cultural knowledge is paramount in guiding Sysco through the international obstacles in operating as a multinational corporation, which is an intangible resource that many other competitors lack. This advantage is central to the organization of the corporation, which proudly asserts its diversity and inclusivity commitment. Another intangible resource utilized by Sysco is its relationship with business partners, investors, suppliers, customers, and communities. With each of these entities, Sysco acts with the utmost sincerity and highest legal, moral, and ethical standards. Quality assurance is at the base of these standards, which applies to both customer service as well as product and services. Partnerships and relationships with customers should be a priority on all corporations within the industry because this strategy supports the longevity of business arrangements and thus increases long-term profitability. A corporation's capability describes its capacity to compete core functions and internal affairs, enhanced with the utilization of the firm's resources. Some of the capabilities held by Sysco are green incentives, corporate social responsibility challenges, and diverse multinational operations which enhance the corporation's reputation. Sysco's top capability lies within its product and service distribution and delivery methods with international connections that set it apart from rivals. Many other firms tend to remain local and national rather than building networks. So Cisco's capability of international connections allows the corporation the chance to satisfy a larger demand from a vast consumer base. While many rival companies have a small-scale national operations, Cisco has distribution facilities worldwide, which offers a network which is inaccessible to competitors. This capability broadens demand, increases interconnectivity, and strengthens profits. Cisco's research and development are centralized around diversity, which enhances its entire organizational structure by uniting an assortment of different mindsets, cultural identities, and innovative ingenuity. This capability provides Cisco with advanced ideas and fresh perspectives through the broad consumer awareness. Diversity allows the corporation to reach a broader base of customers because people prefer to connect to their own cultural identity when it is represented in any market. This is especially true in the food service distribution industry because people favor food that is culturally and locally relevant to themselves. Diversity and inclusivity provide leverage to the company because these advantages make the business capable of relating to the vast audience through proper research and development. Another capability possessed by Cisco related to the aforementioned is product and service development. Over the years, Cisco has worked to expand and broaden its menu options to reflect a variety of cultures. Through proper research and development with a priority of diversity, Cisco has perfected its menu to include a wide array of food styles and menu choices. This includes multicultural resources and culturally rich food options, which reflect American, Spanish, and Italian resources, and more. This capability allows Cisco to remain relevant and current with food trends and cultural preferences. Overall, these capabilities set the company up for success in various regions worldwide by strategically planning with diversity as a priority. Their competencies and sustainable advantages address the capabilities which are critical to achieving a competitive advantage within the market. Upon close examination using the VRIO framework, it can be inferred that Cisco's core competencies lie in its international connectivity and multinational distribution network. These capabilities allow Cisco to pursue its initiative, Buy Local, Sell Fresh, which incorporates and stimulates local economies. Many competitors are unable to follow its lead because it can be expensive to purchase local fresh goods, but Cisco is aware that this initiative is worthwhile in terms of consumer preferences and planet protection alike. Cisco's research and development team is consistently rendering new information about consumer taste shifts, which has taken a new turn towards natural, fresh, organic goods. This shift in Cisco's awareness gives the corporation a sustainable advantage because it can plan ahead and make corrective changes for improved forecasting. Overall, Cisco prioritizes its consumers and products, ensures high quality standards, and vaunts quality assurance. To sum up the firm's resources, Cisco has an abundance of resources, capabilities, and competencies available to help the organization remain afloat and affluent while dominating in the industry in comparison to similar corporations. Following the VRIO framework, an examination based on the 4 categories classified by value, rarity, imitatability, and organizational influence, it is clear that each of these subjects are valuable. Only 2 are truly rare, which are cultural knowledge and reputation protection measures. Although these 2 components are both valuable and rare, they can only offer temporary competitive advantage. Subsequently, even more important to the organization are those classified as inimitable, such as Cisco's operative connections and corporate social responsibility. These factors make for a more sustainable competitive advantage and leads into the remaining competencies which are imperative to the company's organizational structure. Those which fall into this category include international connections, a vast delivery network, and initiatives such as the Buy Fresh, Sell Local campaign. Starting with a simple understanding of the consumers being served, By paying acute attention to the consumer trends in the industry, Sysco secures long-time loyal customers who feel significant when they see products culturally relevant to themselves. These factors function interconnectedly and provide structural integrity within the organization while maintaining a competitive advantage over other rivals within the industry. We're moving into the financial analysis. As the financial analysis must be performed periodically within the corporation in order to check the firm's monetary status, budget, and financial performance. This information will help the organization account for unnecessary expenditures, profit opportunities, and potential fluctuations. In order to get a complete comprehension of Sysco's financial status, a thorough examination will be completed, including a valuation analysis, growth analysis, profitability analysis, financial strength analysis, and management efficiency analysis. The research conducted will consist of past and present data to detect weaknesses in order to help make practical inferences and predictions regarding future actions and behaviors. Although the collected data may only be numerical representation of a complex organization, it helps create a better understanding of the financial environment within Sysco Corporation. All of the following information has been gathered by Thompson 1 on the Sysco Corporation. We start with the valuation analysis. The price to earnings ratio determines the comparative relationship between share price and earnings per share. This amount is generally a little higher when higher in quantity, therefore an increasing trend for its value is preferred. This ratio represents the amount of money a shareholder is willing to spend day to day, meaning investors predict higher future growth. The price to earnings ratio, the PE ratio, began relatively low in 2014 and did not drop this low again until 2017. Sysco saw 2 years of impressive improvements, with 33.3% in 2015 and slightly over 30.8% in 2016. However, after its drop in 2017, the value has only just begun to rise again, with only a reported value of 26.5 in 2018. It is clear that Sysco has experienced fluctuating price and earning values per share, which has led to volatile changes in this quantity. However, the average value over this 5-year period is 27.6, which is slightly above the historical market average, which typically ranges from 15 to 25. This theoretically provides the company with an idea of how much investors are willing to pay per dollar of earnings and is useful to determine potential growth. It is important to build shareholder value and increase the worth of shares in order to maximize profitability. The company must maintain high industry attractiveness levels to enhance perceived value and potential growth for share earnings. The price to sales ratio, PS ratio, indicates the value placed on each dollar of corporation sales. This value is calculated by dividing the market value per share by sales per share, which compares current stock price to sales per share. The numbers recorded over the 5-year period show overall stability in this category, which range from 0.5 to 0.6 with an average of 5.44. This steady trend indicates virtual stability in this proportion. Not only is this value steady, it is considered preferable and signifies that investors are paying less than $1 per each dollar of the company's sales. This is appealing to analysts and optimal for company growth because more shareholders will perceive this as a good investment. Ideally, the ratio will fall somewhere between 1 and 2, but any ratio less than 1 is considered excellent. The price to book ratio, the PB ratio, is calculated by dividing the market price per share by the book value per share. This ratio had an average value of 8.38 and ranged from 4.2 to 14.2. Over the past 5 years, Sysco has experienced an upward trend in this value, steadily increasing annually, considering this value is significantly higher than the comparative market range of 1 to 3. This could signify potential problems for the company. In the case that the PV values are significantly higher than normal, it could be a sign of overvalued stock. This could signify lower profit projections compared to current prices, but ideally, Sysco will continue to see upward trends in its stock prices to maximize company profits. It is important to measure the growth of the company using a variety of ratios to analyze financial opportunities and threats. Revenue growth is the first ratio recorded for that can represent changes in annual revenue. It is ideal to see incremental improvements in company's revenue, as this is indicative of a healthy, progressive business. Although Sysco has seen slight fluctuations in its revenue ratios over the past 5 years, the value saw a significant peak in 2017, reaching a remarkable 9.94%. This value dropped to 6.06% the following year, indicating a reduced revenue growth percentage. The overall trend appears to be slowly rising, which could potentially entail positive earnings growth in the company's future. Operating income is representative of the company's earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT, determined by removing operating expenses from revenue. Sysco's operating income fluctuated dramatically over the past 5-year period, falling to its lowermost value at negative 15.32% in 2015, then peaking in the following year at 32.24%. This improvement is impressive, but the positive trend unfortunately did not continue into 2018, as that amount dropped to 2.48%. This volatile pattern is not favorable because it shows inconsistent growth patterns in the firm's operating income, which should ideally yield a positive trend. Net income growth represents the company's profit and is calculated by subtracting costs from its revenues. There has been considerable growth in this annual average over the past 5-year period. The company saw negative results in 2014 and 15, but saw exceptional recovery the following year when it reached a peak of 38.27%. This 64% increase is significant and demonstrated impressive profitability growth in just 1 year. Although the value has lowered more recently, averaging 25% in 2018, the company has nonetheless seen an overall positive growth trend over the course of the past 5 years. Ideally, this value will continue to rise as the company grows and becomes more profitable. The next component is the earnings per share, which represents the amount of profit dedicated to each outstanding share of common stock. This annual average has increased unsteadily over the past 5-year time span, recovering from negative amounts in 2014 and 2015. Since those lows, the earnings per share has grown to positive integers, reaching a peak of 41.39% the year after its lowest amount of negative 11%. This is a significant recovery and likely occurred due to its increase in company profitability, tied to improved operating income and net income. This value will likely continue to rise as the company continues to grow and prosper. Into the profitability ratios. Growth profit margin is found by dividing gross income by net sales or revenues. This represents the percentage of revenues available to cover operating expenses and yield a profit, and should preferably be a high amount. As seen in the diagram, this amount is relatively steady and hasn't seen many fluctuations over the past 5 years. The 5-year average for Sysco's gross profit margin was 18.21%, which denotes a decent amount of revenue available to pay off expenses and produce profits. This signifies that Sysco has historically been able to cover all of its expenses with enough left over to have considerable profits, thus sustaining profitability. Operating profit margin, or return on sales, shows the profitability on current operations without regard to interest charges and income taxes, and should ideally be a higher number with a positive trend. Upon closer examination of the operating profit margins, you can see an unsteady general upwards trend is observable from over the course of the last 5 years. Although this profit margin experienced a slight decline to 3.73% in 2015. It has since recovered and reached 5.19% in 2018. This recovery indicates that Sysco is effectively strategizing and will likely exhibit continued success in the years to come. The net profit margin ratio, or net return on sales, represents profits per dollars of sales after taxes. This shows how much revenue is earned from each dollar of sales, and an upward, higher trend is preferred. Judging by the results, Sysco has done a considerably laudable job with maintaining a positive trend in its net profit margin ratio. Although the company experienced a decline in 2014 and 2015, the amounts have steadily risen in the recent years, reaching a 5-year peak in 2018 of 2.44%. These results are promising to the company and appealing to potential investors with positive projections for future probability. Into the financial strength analysis. The current ratio is found by dividing current assets by current liabilities of the firm, representing a company's ability to pay current liabilities using items that can quickly be converted to cash and should be greater than 1. Sysco's annual current ratio is above average, signifying that its assets outweigh liabilities and that it's able to recover any foreseen expenses by liquidating if necessary. Most notably, Sysco's current ratio reached a 5-year peak in 2016 with an outlier of 2.3. Any ratio above 2 is considered exceptional. Therefore, Sysco should aim to imitate its strategic decisions from 2016 to hopefully yield similar results in the future. The quick ratio gives an idea of the firm's ability to meet short-term obligations by dividing cash and cash equivalents plus net receivables by current liabilities. In Sysco's specific case, it is apparent according to the information that this ratio has seen minor fluctuations over the past 5-year period. The quick ratio has a 5-year average of 0.98, which is slightly lower than the ideal results should be. However, Sysco reached a peak in 2016 and experienced a quick ratio of 1.6. It is apparent that Sysco should attempt to replicate the business strategies implemented in 2016 to reap the same rewards earned during this financial cycle. The debt-to-equity ratio represents the balance between the debts and the amount invested in the company by stockholders. This includes short-term and long-term debts. As seen, Sysco has experienced a general upward trend in the past 5 years, signifying an increase in leverage for the company. Although the company may be taking on additional risk and debt for financing its assets, it is advantageous for the organization to take such risk in order to produce financial rewards. It will likely be worthwhile for Sysco to take this debt because in doing so, the company will be able to increase its overall value and potential profitability. Lastly, for the financial analysis is the management efficiency analysis. The return on assets, or the ROA ratio, is representative of the return on total monetary investment in the enterprise. Over the past 5-year period, Sysco has seen optimal growth, with the sole exception of 2014 and 2015, which experienced a slight decrease of 2.3%. In the most recent year, the company reported its peak amount of 9.35%, which was a considerable increase of 1.5% from 2017. These ratios are all acceptable and signify promising projections for the future. Overall, Sysco's return on assets ratio has grown positively in the recent years and will ideally continue this trend with increased efficiency and earnings. The return on equity, the ROE ratio, shows the return being earned by stockholders on their investments in the business, with an average range of 12 to 15%, and ideally yielding positive growth rates. Excluding a minor decrease in both 2014 and 2015, Sysco has seen exceptional positive patterns on its ROE ratio over the past 5-year period. The ROE climbed steadily from 2015 to 2018, peaking in the previous year at 58.54%. This indicates that the business is highly profitable in relation to the equity of the organization, suggesting that the company is using investments wisely toward financial growth. The company will likely continue to increasing amounts on its investment as the corporation expands and grows in the near future. The preceding financial analysis of Sysco Corporation provides a close examination of the company's stability, leverage, and efficiency to guide the business in making future strategic decisions. This gives a general idea of the corporation's success in a quantitative measure understood by investors, analysts, and bankers. After a detailed look of the major components of the financial environment within Sysco, it is apparent that the organization is making wise investments which are likely to yield positive profits in the future. However, despite these positive projections, there remains a chance that Sysco will not be able to achieve its short-term financial goals by the end of fiscal year 2020. The financial targets are set to be reached by 2020 were all largely dependent upon the success of Sysco's various initiatives, which may prove to be more expensive than anticipated. Since Sysco's business plan was optimistically reliant on the success of these initiatives, there is a strong likelihood that its financial projections were too high and will not equate its set targets. The valuation analysis revealed that in the past 5 years, Sysco has seen positive trends in its PE, price per earnings, price per share, and PB ratios. These upward patterns are perceived to mean that the overall value of the company and stock is increasing, which is optimistic for the corporation as well as investors and customers. The numbers reported in the diagram of the financial analysis were generally increasing and signified potential prosperity for the company if this trend continues. The growth analysis, as demonstrated, revealed inconsistent patterns of progress for the company with dramatic fluctuations in annual operating and net income ratios. This is considerably concerning, especially for investors, because volatile shifts in operating income could indicate unreliable demand. The profitability analysis showed that Sysco's gross and operating profit margins were generally increasing, and the net profit margin was relatively stable. Although the company should still work to increase its profit margins, the reported values were generally decent and showed positive earnings. The financial strength analysis consisted of the current, quick, and debt-to-equity ratios, which revealed that the company has seen recent struggles with its assets and liabilities. The recorded values indicate that the company's assets may not be valuable enough to outweigh the liabilities, which could lead to potential issues in the future. In 2016, the company experienced an impressive improvement in its financial strength. Therefore, the company should attempt to imitate the business plan that was in place at this time to yield similar results. Lastly, the management efficiency analysis examines the firm's ROA and ROE ratios, recorded at the bottom of this slide. This analysis revealed a positive trend for both the return on assets and equity, which indicates a positive investments for both the corporation as well as its shareholders. As we move on into the SWOT analysis, the SWOT analysis is a tool used to examine a company's internal strengths and weaknesses as well as the external opportunities and threats. This tool can be used to perform a situational analysis of the corporation, which leads to pertinent strategic planning. It is beneficial to remain up to date with the situational analysis because they provide valuable information regarding the current business environment in the industry. The subsequent sections will highlight each component of the SWOT analysis in order to develop proper strategies and decisions for future planning to capitalize on the strengths and opportunities while overcoming the weaknesses and threats. For Sysco's internal strengths, they are set apart from rival firms in the industry and contribute to its competitive advantage. Among Sysco's internal strengths, it is a well-built brand portfolio, which has been built and developed over many years within the industry. This not only allows Sysco to maintain a large market share, it also eases the challenge of entering a new market if the company decides to expand product and service categories. Because this business because of this business expertise, Cisco has seen exceptional results in new markets. It can be determined that Cisco's diverse, innovative workforce is largely to credit for this success in the market, serving as another major strength to the company. With clear dedication to high standards and employee training, this is important in creating a workforce that is highly skilled, motivated, and competent in any way that exhibits dedication to going above and beyond. Diversity and inclusivity are core strengths of the corporation because these factors enhance the work environment and strategic planning processes. In order to satisfy international demand, taste, and preferences, Cisco must utilize these strengths and appeal to as many consumers as possible. This is successfully achieved through extensive research and development, product improvement, and consumer awareness. In order to capitalize on diversity and inclusivity, Cisco reflects these characteristics in its menu options, recipe resources, and service solutions. Remaining culturally diverse and regionally aware has aided Cisco in satisfying its broad mix of consumer demands. For a firm to remain relevant in the market like Cisco, it must consistently develop, enhance, and improve itself internally by virtue of the innovative minds of a diverse workforce. The internal weaknesses of a firm are those which could use improvement and must be examined in order to see business prosperity. Although globalization is advantageous in many ways, it also brings weaknesses to the company. One of the top industry risks is unfavorable macroeconomic conditions in various nations with operations, which is a volatile factor for multinational firms such as Cisco. To overcome this challenge, Cisco and similar companies must exert extra finances toward research and planning. However, the financial planning is a top weakness of Cisco, with current liquid asset and current asset ratios suggesting that the company is not using cash efficiently. Additionally, another area in need of improvement is product demand forecasting. Cisco must improve its product demand forecasting to accurately order inventory, thus leading to less oversupply in warehouses and in channel. Accurate demand forecasting is essential to production efficiency and leads to reduced risk in business decisions. It is especially important for a large-scale firm such as Cisco to be exact with demand forecasting because production takes place at the mass level, thus increasing the cruciality of accuracy. Due to this weakness, it is safe to infer that Cisco is not budgeting efficiently and should reevaluate product demand forecast to produce at a pragmatic level as an effort to prevent shortages and surpluses alike. Another area in which could use improvement is planning to counter new entrants in the market, which threatens Cisco's degree of demand. In the past, Cisco has shown signs of not properly handling the challenge of new entrants within the market, which tend to steal a portion of the corporation's market share in niche categories. It is difficult for Cisco to implement large-scale changes to match fluctuating demands in the market because the organization is so massive. This is an advantage for smaller specialized firms in the market because they can adapt and appeal to consumer preferences more quickly than a larger organization can. In order to improve this weakness, Cisco should dedicate more time and funds to the development of defenses against new entrants in the market. This will ensure that Cisco guided measures in reacting to new entrants and adapting its internal business structure to reflect unforeseen fluctuations within the industry. For external opportunities, Cisco's opportunities are largely related to environmental protection actions and reprioritized financial investments. As the world continues to shift toward more eco-friendly, green movements, Cisco has an opportunity to reflect such desires whilst conducting prosperous business. To exploit this conservational opportunity, Cisco could potentially adapt in terms of technology, production, and distribution to appeal to consumers while preserving the planet for the long run. Through mere environmental awareness, Cisco can make a difference in the world while gaining attention from millennials, which is the group most dedicated to the green movement and the largest demographic group in terms of spending. Cisco is willing to modify its policies and goals around this movement because it is appealing to consumers and concurrently beneficial for the planet as well as the company. Cisco has already begun to capture public attention through the launch of its corporate social responsibility initiative. In 2018, this initiative was launched to promote environmental awareness and set an example toward making an eco-friendly difference in the world. The corporation set large-scale commitments to give back to the planet by sourcing from renewable resources, reducing its carbon footprint in transportation and operations, and powering portions of its tractors fleet with alternative fuels. It is certainly beneficial for Cisco to continuously modify its means of production and distribution to reflect environmental needs because not only will this gain public respect, it will also provide corporate protection in the environment. Moving on to the external threats, there are various external threats that must be addressed in order to strategically navigate within the industry. This is essential in examining the company's overall situation as visually represented in the SWOT analysis. Cisco's threats include obstacles such as international legal liabilities, exposure to macroeconomic conditions, regulations and restrictions, and the development of competitor technology. First, liability laws vary from different countries, and Cisco must navigate foreign policy and regulations carefully to avoid any discrepancies. The corporation is exposed to macroeconomic multinational risks, which are ultimately inevitable. Firms participating in the international market must make great efforts to make defensive preparations for unanticipated depressions, currency changes, and the state of trade relations. It is probable that most other competing firms will continue to modify their business strategies to reflect demand and economic shift, which poses another potential threat to Cisco's stability. The development of competitor technology is a major threat to Cisco because this could potentially steal from its market shares, customer base, and even profits. This is a threat in the medium to long-term future and will likely affect the industry as a whole. Competing firms in the food service distribution industry will likely attempt to reflect their worldwide trends towards upward environmentally friendly preferences, which will prompt decreasing carbon footprints, reducing transportation emissions, and increasing energy efficiency. If companies in this industry continue to modify and adapt and improve technologically, their potential threat will increase, leaving Cisco with no other choice but to invest in advancements as well. Now we move into the value chain analysis. A value chain analysis is used to identify the company's primary activities and supporting activities that create customer value. Every company has a list of various internal activities that they must perform with the ultimate goal of creating value to their buyers. Thus, these activities are essential to their value chain. There are two categories of activities that determine cost and create customer value. The primary activities, which bring the most value to the customer, followed by the supporting activities that aid in the completion of the primary activities. The first of Cisco's primary activities pertains to inbound logistics. This activity consists of the chain of events required to obtain all food and non-food products. This also relates to the interaction Cisco has with its suppliers and the development of strategic partnerships. The second of Cisco's primary activity concerns operations, which involves storage facilities, operational centers, and product organization. This activity has the unique priority of connecting the customers with their products in the timeliest manner possible. The third primary activity involved is outbound logistics, which emphasizes the importance of an efficient transportation fleet to rapidly connect consumer demands with available products. Cisco is constantly improving and expanding in its transportation fleet to optimize outbound logistics. The fourth primary activity relates to marketing and sales, which is a very unique department at Cisco with specific employees in sales at each of its operational centers. This gives Cisco the advantage of connecting local buyers to suitable products, which helps the company maintain balance between its supply and demand. The fifth primary activity is service, and most notably emphasizes customer service, satisfaction, and care. In this aspect, Cisco goes above and beyond its average competitor because not only does this company provide excellent products to its buyers, it also continues to interact with customers to continually reflect the growing needs. The final component of the value chain is the profit margin, which is critical for a company to assess constantly in order to ensure that its value creating activities produce substantial funds to compensate owners, shareholders, and investors who are the primary risk bearers and providers of capital. This prioritizes customer value profitability, sufficient return on investments, and attention to detail. The subsequent support activities include procurement, human resource management, technological development, and infrastructure. Procurement prioritizes Sysco's partnerships with suppliers so it is able to connect its customers with desired products, while Sysco's buyers aim to keep costs down through the attainment of alternatives. The technological development component emphasizes strategic investments in profitable technology to maximize efficiency and optimize productivity. Next, human resource management is a focus as Sysco expends a lot of efforts on this department through effective policies, high employment retention, and worker incentives such as company stocks for rewards. Lastly, the infrastructure component concerns the support system of the company as a whole, encompassing legal, administrative, accounting, and general management in order to support operations. This helps Sysco function smoothly in each of its operational departments with increased efficiency and decreased overall cost as a result. We're moving on into recommendations. We start with external recommendations. As time progresses, the world continuously shifts toward greener, cleaner, and more eco-friendly lifestyles and product options. Not only will this movement alter taste and preferences, environmental consciousness will also become a new standard required legally and politically in business. In order to keep up with this opportunistic trend, companies in every market invest in technology, research and development, and production to reflect the necessity for planet preservation. Higher environmental standards and expectations are essential to the longevity of our planet's resources, and companies must take recognition of this awareness and make relevant adjustments. Companies in the industry are subject to volatile political fluctuations in worldwide markets and should therefore remain flexible and willing to adapt to shifts in taste and preferences. Awareness of such shifts can be foreseen through devoted investments in research and development, which is the reason it is strongly recommended that companies make the proper investments needed for advancements in technology to enhance their production as well as efficiency. As nations around the world begin to regulate environmental standards, it is imperative that corporations in the food distribution industry remain aware of the advancements in technology, production, transportation, and more. Adequate funds should be allocated to research and develop to detect and reduce unnecessary expenditures, emissions, and errors. In order for organizations within the industry to thrive similarly to Sysco, they must constantly differentiate their product lines, advance technologically, and remain environmentally conscious. By staying flexible and open-minded to change, companies in the industry will be able to retain market relevance, improve their market position, and increase market shares. For internal recommendations, to preserve optimal market shares and relevance, it is recommended that Sysco Corporation continue with strategic acquisitions, increased investments for research and development, and proportionate economies of scale for efficiency. Considering the unfavorable conditions regarding the financial targets set for the year 2020, Sysco evidently established unrealistic expectations for the results of its newly launched initiatives. Given these results, it is recommended that Sysco invest strategically in its finance, marketing, research development, and forecasting departments. Proper investments into these departments will allow Sysco to develop a well-rounded strategic business plan in equal coordination with every sector of the organization. Clear communication within the organization's network is crucial and will reduce miscommunications. In addition, Sysco should proceed with caution in its profitability projections for the future given that the company has displayed over-optimistic expectations. Lastly, it is recommended that Sysco learns to be less dependent on the future earnings from new initiatives. Starting new initiatives can be risky and will not always pay off. Therefore, a company should ideally avoid making financial goals around unearned profits. Although these initiatives may prove to be profitable in the long term, it is still impractical to make high financial aspirations based on a variable that is not yet successful. Instead, short-term financial goals should take into account current assets, inventory, stock, and other sources of value. As Sysco prepares to release its next statement of new 3-year financial targets, it is recommended that the company makes realistic projections regarding potential profitability, as well as better marketing and financial decisions for these new initiatives. Moving on to the conclusion. Based on the collective impacts of the external and internal environmental analyses, it is valid to conclude that food service distribution industry is one with many obstacles and volatility. The external section of this analysis explored various components of the industry and was divided into 6 different primary investigations to study the general environment, the overall industry, Porter's 5 forces model, the driving forces in the market, the competition, and the key success factors. First, each of the 6 elements of the general environmental analysis, demographics, economic, political, sociocultural, technological, and global, were proven to be high impact factors and are highly influential within the industry. A close analysis of the industry subsequently examined results and trends within the industry, including dominant economic factors, market scope, and even growth rates. Knowledge of these factors is critical to success in the industry so that strategic decisions can be made to navigate anticipated challenges. The use of Porter's 5 forces model established that the power of buyers and the power of substitutes are both strong forces. The intensity of rivalry is a moderate force, and the power of suppliers and threats of new entrants are both weak forces. This information could potentially help food service distribution companies with strategic business planning and decision making because it clarifies the most influential segments of this particular industry. The driving forces of the industry were discovered to be product variety, technology, globalization, and customer satisfaction. These forces put the greatest amount of pressure on the industry and thus shape the way companies choose to operate and modify their business plans. By these forces, companies within the industry can develop in a way that satisfies the most prominent needs of the industry, therefore increasing their profitability. The competition analysis followed and exhibited a strategic group map with top industry competitors to explore rivals' anticipated strategic moves. This section determined that consumer tastes and preferences are a top priority and that companies must prioritize customer service. Lastly, the key success factors of the industry were investigated to help companies identify the top tactics encouraged for prosperity. The 6 key factors of success were established to be speed and convenience, supply chain efficiency, adaptability, consumer prioritization, rival awareness, and product diversity. Each of these components is equally important for the companies to consider when developing strategic business plans. The second portion of the analysis was performed on an internal level to examine the business environment of Sysco Corporation, which is a top competitor within the food service distribution industry. This analysis consists of 4 distinct sections: an organizational analysis, analysis of the firm's resources, the financial analysis, and the SWOT analysis. The organizational analysis uncovered Sysco's corporate mission and emphasis on customer satisfaction. In addition, the section analyzed Sysco's product and services, their leadership team, their organizational culture, their structure, as well as their strategy. The organizational analysis concluded that Sysco remains very much in tune with its customer preferences, which contributes to the company's high satisfaction ratings and broad demand. Sysco's strategy, their structure, and organizational culture are all centralized around the same general priority: diversity. This corporation strives to diversify its workforce, product lines, and technology to keep up with the growing worldwide demands. The analysis of a firm's resources confirmed that the idea of revealing the most notable tangible and intangible resources, as well as competencies and capabilities. In this analysis, it was concluded that Sysco's tangible resources included machinery, internal real estate, inventory, distribution centers, technological assets, financial assets, and warehouses. These are all valuable physical resources, while intangible resources are those that are non-physical, including cultural knowledge and reputation protection, which are advantageous to the company even though they are immaterial. Sysco's capabilities and competencies are crucial success factors and include a vast operative connection, corporate social responsibility, international connections, delivery network, and public initiatives. The collective impact of these capabilities and competencies allows Sysco to thrive among its rival and spread its brand worldwide, increasing market shares and awareness. The financial analysis studied the funds and the budget of the corporation with specific focuses on valuation, growth, profitability, financial strength, and management efficiency. This section determined that Sysco was in decent financial standing with large market shares, high profitability growth, and significant valuation. However, despite these positive results, it was concluded that Sysco was over-optimistic in some of their financial goals set within the corporation, largely due to unrealistic expectations for its recently launched initiatives. Sysco unwisely overestimated its projected earnings from these new initiatives and will not meet its 2020 financial targets as a result. Ideally, these initiatives will pay off in the long term and will not cost the firm much of their worth, but only time will tell. Lastly, the SWOT analysis explored in the corporation's internal strengths and weaknesses as well as external threats and opportunities. Sysco's strengths included strong brand portfolio, diversity, large market share, and business expertise. The opportunities for this firm lie in green incentives, environmental consciousness, decreased transportation costs, and its corporate social responsibility commitments, which will gain customer awareness. However, weaknesses are also notable and include global legal obstacles, macroeconomic vulnerability, cost of employee training, and poor product demand forecasting. The threats of this corporation include international legal liabilities, regulations and restrictions, and the development of competitor technology. In conclusion, the combination of this information from both the internal and external analyses is useful in guiding companies to make wise financial investments, strategic decisions, and operational advancements. In order for a top company such as Sysco to continuously prosper, it should take these factors into account and recurrently formulate business strategies reflective of this ever-changing industry.